Welcome to the Principal PLN podcast hosted by Dr. Spike Cook, Jessica Johnson, and Teresa Stager. Principal PLN is a weekly roundtable discussion about current topics in educational leadership. Be sure to follow our hosts on Twitter at Dr. Spike Cook, at Principal J, and at Principal Stager. There are many great ways to contact the PLN. Follow the hashtag Principal PLN or at Principal PLN on Twitter. You can also search and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. All links can be found online at principalpln.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Principal PLN podcast. It's February 21st, 2015. We are starting 2015 off right with our first podcast.
It's almost March. We're starting
It's almost
2015 off right.
Well, see, everybody goes with these New Year's resolutions, and
our resolution was for the Chinese New Year because that was yesterday.
Yes, that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, so we are so excited to be back, and we're going to spend this podcast catching up with each other and talking about the different cool things that are going on and in our world, and then going to throw some ideas out for next time. So, Jessica, how's everything going?
Great. Well, I think we should start out by telling people why we haven't been podcasting.
Probably a good idea.
Because we
got in a huge fight,
yeah.
And we stopped talking to each other for like 3 months.
3 months.
And Spike kept talking about how warm it was in New Jersey, and Jess and I were getting tired of it. So we just all stopped talking. It was really
So we've been still spending a lot of time together on the Voxer and in Google Drive, working on our book that will be coming out through Corwin in August.
Yes.
In August. So we're working on, we had our first draft in, we got our comments and edits back that we need to make. So we took a podcasting hiatus so that we could work on writing so we can get that book done. So.
Yes, we didn't plan on taking the hiatus, but then we realized that that we have very little time anyway to podcast. You know, we always have trouble finding these times to get together to podcast, and when we wanted to get together to write, we had to use those times to do it. So we appreciate those of you who stuck through it and all the messages that we received.
I have to say, like, I didn't realize, like, how many people we had listening, and then the tweets of, like, are you going to podcast again? I was like, oh, people listen?
Yeah,
like,
it was nice.
Yeah.
We were happy, so thank you.
Yeah.
Those were all accounts that I set up on the side.
This is why we stopped talking to Spike. See? This is what
They are. They were all, like, little troll accounts I set up. Now,
that explains the eggheads. Darn it.
That's right. That's right. And every one of those, if you click on a link, you get a free iPad.
Oh my gosh, Spike. Oh man.
So yeah, I miss you guys. Yeah. So Jess, what's been going on in Wisconsin?
In Wisconsin. Well, it's been cold, but we still have school because we can handle the cold. We can toughen that out. We haven't had a single snow day or delay. I'm not trying to sound bitter or jealous about that at all. What's been going on in my world, I think I've shared on here that I'm the district assessment coordinator, and that the duties of that role have like multiplied by infinity this year. That it's been said in Wisconsin that could be a full-time job in of itself. So I'm not just working on the assessments that are for the elementary, but also the middle school and the high school level, and that's really consumed a lot of my time lately, along with wrestling on the evenings and weekends for my child. How about you guys?
Spike's had a lot to swallow, a lot to hobble on.
Yeah. So I had some foot issues for the last couple of years, and I went to different, like podiatrists and would run, not run, bike. I mean, I tried every little thing, and it just got to the point where I had to go to an orthopedic, and he suggested that I get surgery. So I scheduled it for early January, and it really it just threw me into a tailspin. I mean, there's so many things I had to cancel out on other like sort of engagements that I was hoping to participate in, and then I had to take a week off of work to recover, and then it was during that week that I decided that I'm like, you know what, the best way to get over this is to get up off of this couch and to move and to do the things that I can do, not rush it, but to get back to 100%. And I'm really glad I did, because I've had a couple meetings with my doctor, appointments with my doctor, and I'm healing really well. And I'm back in dress shoes. I can actually, I even jogged a little bit yesterday.
Oh, wait, can you do that?
Well, I don't know if I should have done that, but it was at dismissal, and we were really hustling because it was like negative, like 9 degrees out, and we're trying to get all the cars through the line. And but no, I mean, I'm like the doctor said, the pain is going to be part of it. I mean, part of my bone is healing, but I just have to keep working on my flexibility. So, yeah, I've gone back to the gym, and I'm just trying to get back to normal. I'm glad I can drive now and all that good kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I've taken a big break from Twitter and blogging since finishing that Blog 365 project. And even Voxer taking a little bit of break. So just trying to like what you were saying before, Jess, concentrate on writing and just the day-to-day craziness of being a principal. And also we have state testing coming up. We're doing the park, and I'm the co-testing coordinator for that. So there has been a lot. How about you, Teresa?
Well, I do just want to share. We're giving Spike a lot of flack for his snow days and his negative, I don't know, 0 wind chills or whatever they've got going on over there in South Jersey. But it's all in good fun. And those of you who are in places that don't normally see this kind of cold, and I know in Tennessee it's been negative 25, and I mean there are a lot of places right now that haven't seen this kind of cold weather, if ever. So please take it in jest. No, we're not trying to be offensive, but we like to mess with Spike because he's got his 2 inches of snow in there. No, I'm totally joking. So, but
it's hard to turn that off.
It is. It's hard.
It is.
But so this has just been an ongoing private joke, and we're bringing it out. But please don't think, if you've had snow days because you've had a dusting of snow, we think any differently. Jess might, because she's still angry about not having any days off. But no,
I'll get over it.
That's right. But she'll be fine. I don't know. Things have just been just moving.
Well, hold on a
second.
You just signed up to run a half marathon.
Oh, right. There was that. So.
And you were in the hospital, or not the hospital, you're in the doctor's office getting an MRI. So what's going on with your knee?
How do those two go together?
Well, that's right. Well, unfortunately, they do. That's the problem. I fell in December. For those of you who don't know me, I have a really weak stomach. I'm kind of lame when it comes to that, and my son had his tooth pulled the day before New Year's Eve, and he's 5, and it was dead. He had killed the root, and so they pulled the tooth, and he came out with his little, biting on that gauze, and it was all bloody, and I fell. And I fell because I passed out, so that there was that. And I landed on the ground on like a tile floor, and I had really, my elbow and my shoulder were really bothering me, but I had forgotten I fell on my knee too, and I never had it checked out because it wasn't bothering me. And I have crappy knees anyway. That's just, it's kind of how it's gone. But the last 2 weeks or so, well, 2 weeks before this happened, so I guess the last month or so, I've been really working at getting back to running, and I'm on a new rheumatoid arthritis treatment, so I've been feeling better, and I went and got back into everything, signed up for a race in March, and my knee bothered me one day, and then I ran on it, and that was it. And so I don't know what it is that's torn, but it's something. It's my right knee. I'm on crutches. They're sitting right here next to me. My poor husband has been my gopher for I don't even know how long, the poor guy.
And wait, and then you're going to run a half marathon with your crutches?
Well, I might. I don't know. It depends on how good I get.
Okay.
So I am. Well, I had done I've had knee surgeries before, so and they have marathons in September. It's at the end of September. So even if there's surgery involved, it should be more than fine. But it's kind of something that's been on my bucket list, and I'm not getting any younger, and my knees are not getting any better. So I might as well just go big or go home. So, and it's kind of, I'm really bummed by it because, like Spike said, it's that whole just get off the couch. You don't realize, and there were so many days when you're working that you're like, I wish I could just sit down and do nothing. But actually having to sit down and do nothing totally sucks. a lot. And we had midwinter break on Monday and Tuesday. We went to school on Wednesday. We had the 2 days off for cold on Thursday and Friday. So I've literally been sitting on the couch for almost an entire week doing nothing, and I hate it. So
Do you know what they say?
What is that? Suck it up? No?
Sitting is the new smoking.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's
obviously
true.
you have to rest, you have to relax, and if you're injured, all that kind of stuff. They're saying that, like even people who go to the gym, like say you might go to the gym for an hour, but you work in a desk.
Yeah.
Not you don't work in a desk, but you work at a desk type
in the
of
drawer
operation. So you're sitting most of the day, and then you come home and then you're sort of mentally or physically exhausted. Then you sit on the couch. Like it's just not good for us. And believe me, I am a couch sitter. Like when I get home, like I want to relax and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah, I was actually, when I worked in human resources, we had moved into a new office, and 3 of the people that when we moved in that worked there had built up their desks. Literally, they brought this big truck with their hacksaws in the back. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. But they built these big wooden, almost like a wedge, and they put it underneath their desks, and they stood all day long. All day long. They're working on computer, reading code all day long, and they stood because they were also 50 pounds lighter than I am, and maybe that's why. But it was crazy. They were just standing all day, and that's it's a healthy thing to do.
Well, I think this talk kind of leads into what the book that all the 3 of us are reading right now. We're reading The Mindful School Leader. This is a book from Corwin, and this is a book that I needed a long time ago that really just emphasizes practices for yourself to be more mindful and take care of yourself so that you can be a better leader. And I'm feeling so zen in reading this, and I know we talked about meditation and taking care of yourself and things like that before when we talked about the Miracle Morning. And I've read a couple of other books in between, but this book I would highly recommend this book for every leader, even teachers, really. I mean,
you know what that just reminded me? I think we should reach out to Ariel and see if we could get them or one of the authors on the podcast, because I think it would be really cool. Because I too, and I know Teresa has been, reading through it, and it was suggested because it was connected to the book that we're writing on isolation. But I think what all 3 of us have started to take away is like, wow, some of these, suggestions in here, vignettes, really strike a chord with us and are very helpful in practicing that mindfulness when we're dealing with, difficult parents, difficult teachers, difficult situations, or just the overall stress of, our jobs, and and then also the ability to create an, I know that's part of that too, to create, a space where people can vent and can, talk with each other, and I think that's what the 3 of us try to do.
Yeah, and I've just been so zen lately. Like, stuff has been happening at school, and I'm just like so calm, and it's all okay.
I kind of ran into that same. I'm a lot more zen now too, but mine was not because I read the book. Mine was a little bit before we got the book. But I was talking to Spike like 2 days later. I had like a total and utter just breakdown. It was like, you get that where everything is just so heavy and so present, and just it builds and builds and builds and builds. And I just lost it one day, and it was something so stupid like I forgot my daughter's turtleneck for cheerleading or something. I mean, it was so dumb, and I was like,
you had a principal meltdown?
I totally did.
I was meltdown,
sobbing and crying, and but I'm telling you what, ever since then, even keel, man. Sometimes you just need to lose it.
I'll make sure that I put a link for the Principal Meltdown YouTube clip in there, just in case somebody has not seen that, because it's a must-watch.
Oh, yes.
It's good.
You're right. Is that the one with the parking?
Yeah.
The guy with the parking. Yeah, okay.
Someone keeps stealing my pencils and then putting them back where they were.
It's funny, like, one of the words that I keep coming up with in the last couple weeks is I feel smothered at work. Do you know what I mean? Like, there have been days where like I literally I cannot get out of the office because every time I'm trying to get out of the office, there's this, there's that, there's that, there's this, there's that. Smothered.
Yeah.
You guys ever feel that way?
Always. At school and at home.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't know, when you have kids, you can't even go to the bathroom without somebody smothering you.
Little feet under the door.
Yeah, and the lock doesn't work on our bathroom door, so I literally, Oh, we got a puppy. You want to talk about
right.
Talk about smothering,
When I saw that you got a puppy, good grief. I looked at my
the most adorable little terror.
Oh, he's so cute.
Yes, he's a beast on our house.
He's so cute. How do we not hear him? Is he sleeping?
No, I have him locked up right now.
Oh, okay.
So you don't hear him.
Like,
his name is Packer.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
He's so cute. You had a picture of him in a Packers jersey or something, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh. He's a Packer. My in-laws are going to get a puppy too, and they're going to name him Viking.
Oh. I'm not going to let them fight each other, right? Like, to separate them.
Packer would kill the Viking.
Oh, that's right.
Teresa, you would like this. I've been playing a lot of Madden with my son.
Oh, yeah?
And guess what one of my favorite teams to use is?
I hope
the
it's
Detroit Lions.
Woo! Is it because you're because you're a glutton for punishment, because you like to let your son win?
No, they're actually really good on there, and anytime I pass it to Calvin Johnson, that guy really comes through and catches it for me.
Oh my gosh, I had my fantasy football teams this year. I had 3 of them, and in 2 of them I had Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson. Woo! Which is a fantastic matchup if Calvin Johnson is not broken for half the season. So just a heads don't do that unless you're a glutton for. You're either. My brother told me when I picked them, he was like, "You are either going to win big or you are going to lose big," and I lost huge.
Oh.
All right, so I'm worried that we might just make this be a personal business podcast. So how about, here's a question: what is on your calendar for next week?
Cheerleading banquet.
A what banquet?
The cheerleading banquet for my little munchkin, because our basketball season is over now. So we have cheerleading banquet on the calendar. We have the basketball banquet on the calendar. I personally have my follow-up where my doctor's going to tell me what the jeez is wrong with my knee. My daughter's birthday. For
the banquets, is that now as a principal, do you have to be in charge of those or whatever, being a private school?
No, we have an athletic director, and what we kind of do is we let it's a volunteer position, but we let the coaches plan their own, I say banquet, it's a pizza party in the cafeteria downstairs or in the gym area, but the coaches are in charge of getting the kids medals, they're in charge of the pizza party or whatever they want to do. They've got a budget, a small budget. And then they plan them, they just check with us on when the open dates are and they plan them. So this one on Monday is our I-League, our instructional league, so 3rd and 4th grade. And then we've got the little one for the cheerleaders on Wednesday, and then the other teams will schedule their own things, whether they do it at school or somewhere else. But luckily, no, I don't have to be in charge of that.
Spike, what's on your principal calendar?
Oh, principal calendar?
Yeah, what's on your principal? Yeah, I'm trying to keep us focused on principal-ish stuff.
Okay. So next week we are going to be we have our pizza bingo night, which is one of our well-attended parent community involvement events where we set up the gym and we have all different tables for bingo. This year we're going to have a DJ. One of our parents does awesome with DJ, and he DJ'd our first dance that we've had in a long time on the 13th for our Valentine's Day. So we have that going on, and twas the week before Park, so I'm going to be doing a lot of work getting that
You're
situated.
Testing already?
Ours is in October.
Ours is going to be in April.
Yeah, we tested in October.
There's two. This is the mid-year one, and then there's the end-of-the-year one that's going to be 6 weeks later. So the good thing is that, I look at it as almost like a soft opening to a restaurant. The way that we used to do the NJ Ask is that all the grades tested at one time, and it lasted a week. So it's almost like it was easier to do it that way because then it was done, but it was a lot of work. This way, it's actually because they have to have devices now. We do because everything's online. So the first week of March is the 5th grade test, then the following week is the 4th grade, then the following week is the 3rd grade. So it's a little bit easier to know that next week all we need to really get ready for is the 5th grade. But you got to keep everything in perspective. Yeah. So I have a lot of stuff to do with that, getting the rooms ready, making sure that all our lists are correct and all our modifications and stuff like that. So
do you have to do the online part of like the student demographics and entering in their accommodations? Do you do that side of it?
Yeah. I mean, some of it's already pre-uploaded from the fall, but like if we had to change any of the accommodations or if we had new kids in, you have to manually, upload, different stuff. So we'll do that this week, and then creating the after testing schedule. Because the other thing is that one of my teachers who normally coordinates Read Across America,
that's coming up.
March 2nd, and that's the first day of our assessment. So we're going to put less of a focus on 3 to 5 this year, unfortunately, and then K to 2 we'll have some different events that are going on. But it just gets back to this whole thing where we're assessing kids way more than we ever have, and when are we going to be able to get back to lifelong learning activities and things like the love of reading, like. Dr. Seuss would be rolling his grave knowing that the park is starting on his birthday.
Yes, he would. Well, and so maybe just to make sure, if we were planning ahead, we could have talked about Read Across America Week on here to help principals who are new and don't know. But so March 2nd is the Read Across America Week, and I always tell principals, as principals, you should make sure your school is doing something about reading. And we actually have a committee, so we have a whole week of stuff going on. We have authors coming in. We have a family reading night. We have classes buddying up for reading. It's my favorite week of the year. I love it.
I like that.
I'm glad you do. I feel like a little bit frustrated, but it is what it is.
You may have to celebrate a belated birthday for Dr. Seuss.
Well, we are, but it's not going to be. It's just not going to be the same. And we do a lot of those same things that we're just not doing this year, just because of the assessments that are going on.
Yeah. Quite honestly, talking about assessments, being the DAC, like I have so many days that I'm out of the building for trainings. Like when I'm looking at my calendar right now, I'm going to be out all day on Friday this week for more training on our assessment, and it's like every month there's probably 4 days that I'm out for different assessments. It's hard. This week, though, in my building, we have grade level PLC meetings all day on Tuesdays. I always look forward to those. We have great conversations. We're interviewing for a summer school coordinator because I've got that off of my contract now.
Good.
But even though like it's off my contract, I can't just hand it over to somebody and say, here you go. I'm still a big part of that, of getting summer school ready. So that's something right now, too, that principals might need to be looking at of, what do they have to do for summer school if that's part of their role?
Yeah, it seems early, but now is the time to do it. We're halfway through the 3rd marking period, so out of 4 if you're still on quarters. So we're almost there, and the end of the year starts. I know that we're working a lot this week on admissions packets. We have open house coming in March, so there's this is the time of the year that is probably the biggest for planning. For principals going into next year, you have to start looking at your enrollment and what your teaching staff is going to look like, and if you have to change grades or things like that. So now is a big time to start planning things out.
What's going on with your staff this week, Teresa? Do you got some conference they're going to?
Oh, yes, thank you. So on Friday, last year, Larry Baker, who is a principal in Michigan, he's a high school principal, he put on this conference called the Mercy Tech Talk, and Mercy is the name of his high school, and it was fantastic. I took 4 of my teachers last year, and it was really great. It was like $40, I want to say, a person, a catered breakfast, catered lunch, keynote, great sessions, and then if you take more than 5, it's $30 a person. So I'm taking my whole staff for like $350. And we made a professional development day for this day, and I'm taking everybody this year, and I am so excited. If you want to follow the hashtag on Friday, it's hashtag MHTalk, Mercy High Talk. I'm doing a couple of presentations on the administrator side. Larry wanted to do a couple, he wanted to get kind of an administrator strand going, so he reached out to me and said, you know, can you do a couple of presentations? So I've got 2, I think, on Friday. And the teachers that I took last year were not necessarily tech, savvy, but they found a lot of really great things about things to use in the classroom. And remember, we've got a one-to-one program, a one-to-one iPad program. So for them, it was extremely helpful because they're walking in, different ways to use the iPads in elementary classrooms or, iBooks and things like that. So it's a really great conference. And Karen Bosch is doing the keynote this year. She is a tech teacher in Michigan, and she's also an Apple Distinguished Educator, as is Larry. And she's wonderful. She has so many resources, and she's actually already tweeting out her websites and presentations for this weekend under that hashtag. So, definitely check it out. There's a ton of, a ridiculous amount of information at this conference. I want to say Larry says he's got almost 400 people registered, and they closed it. They've sold out. It's done. But there will be a lot of really good information going out there. So be sure to check it out.
That's awesome.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it'll be neat.
Okay, so here's another question, not related to what we've been talking about. Teacher evaluations or teacher effectiveness, whatever it's called, and I know most states have an educator effectiveness mandate or whatever. It's almost March. Where are you at? And I just asked that question because on our online system that we use, they added this feature that lets you see. It's always had a little pie, and it shows, in a graph form of what observation or what forms are done, what forms are scheduled, what forms are waiting acknowledgement, and they've added the percentage now. So it makes it really easy to look at it and see I'm this % done. And last week, when that feature came out, I noticed that I was 50% done. Halfway through February, over halfway through the year, so I'm not where I should be, and I'm going to be racing at the end of this marathon as fast as I can, and then I'm going to vomit at the end because I ran too hard. But how are you guys doing with all of that business?
About the same, sadly. I feel like the last couple of months, like Spike said, I can't get out of my office. It's one thing after another. And it's really hampered my ability to get into the classrooms, and it makes me very upset that I can't get out. But there are certain things that have to be dealt with during the school day, or something that comes in as an emergency, or for whatever reason. And so I'm very behind with my observation.
Yeah, I always talk about being in classrooms as much as possible, and have been co-writing a book with another 2 people from EduCoach of the principal leading with a coaching hat. But lately, Teresa, I have been making it my goal to do 1 documented informal a day, which is a pathetic goal, but with everything else that I have to get done, at least I'm getting 1 done a day.
That's right.
Yeah, we just went through in New Jersey, so we have a halfway point of the year where teachers can meet with us to discuss their SGOs or student growth objectives, and those are the ones that they set out at the beginning of the year, so you can make some changes mid-year. So I had a bunch of conferences there, which is good because you're allowed to, you don't switch the SGO, but you can take a look at some of the groups if certain kids aren't progressing. So we got through that, and then there's a mid-year meeting if they want it for their goals, for their overall goals, their professional development goals, and but as far as the evaluations, my second round for some, which will be their last round, I've probably only done 1 out of maybe 14, so I'm really far behind on that, and March is going to be really difficult because of all the assessments that are going on. This round is almost a little bit different too because these are unannounced, so it's really based on my schedule, not the teachers. And as Teresa and you are echoing that, as things get really busy, an announced, observation sometimes falls by the wayside if there's other things that are going on.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
there's that, and then our.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to finish up with our walkthroughs. We have to do 10 walkthroughs a week on our teachers, and I have probably not hit that mark in the new year. Like being out, of course, that's going to impact me. But January, February, I've not been able to get as many done as I would like, and those are the important ones because. That's the non-evaluative, just taking the, a little bit of the pulse of the climate and culture on the academic side, and I really value those, but I'm not getting there as much as I'd like to.
I was just going to add, kind of going along with that, our superintendent had shared an article with our admin team the other day, and I can't find the exact same one. This one is similar, and it's about stay interviews. Usually if somebody is leaving a job, we do an exit interview with them. But the idea of stay interviews is you're asking questions of them to make sure that we're still meeting their needs, really. And I thought how great it would be to add these questions into your mid-year SLO, SGO conference with teachers, because it really opens up that door for you to have a relationship with them and know how else to improve things there. And so some of the questions are, what kind of feedback would you like about your performance that you aren't currently getting? What opportunities for self-improvement would you like to have that are beyond your current role? What talents or strengths do you have that we haven't made the most of? If you could change one thing about your job or your team, what would it be? And I'll put a link to this article, or see if I can find the right article in the doc, because I just thought, I sometimes struggle with those meetings of, okay, let's look at this, let's hurry up and get this done, and we have to remember to make it a conversation too that's helpful for both sides of the party.
Great.
It's funny that you mention it. Like one day I remember I was having one of those things where it was just like a revolving door. There was just like one thing after another, and a teacher came in and sat down, and she's like, I'd like to talk to you about lesson plans. And I'm like,
I know, like you shared that in the box.
Bless your heart. Like, do you realize what the last 5 conversations about? Wanting to get out early. I got this kid that's driving me nuts. This parent did this. Bus problems, all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh, what a breath of fresh air. I'm like, I would love to talk about lesson planning, And it's funny
Did
because...
you really respond to your teacher that way?
I did. I said,
I said, what is wrong with him? I just
oh, no,
They're talking about lesson plans?
No, they know me, and I'm like, so we talked about it, and so I really tried to practice mindfulness, but also excitement, and it's almost like a way of also showing, the other teachers, like, yes, like it is okay to still come in, like, talk about things like education, learning, students, as opposed to all this other stuff that's going on that's frustrating. So yeah, I was just so excited. It was really cool.
I had a parent or a teacher come in, and she had grabbed me. It was probably early in January when we got back, and it was right at the midterm end. And she came and grabbed me, and she's like, I just need to talk to you about these presentations that my kids did. And I was like, thank God. And she just looked at me, and I said, I was just telling my husband the other day, I said, I just want somebody to talk to me about curriculum, or whether it's in the classroom, or I'm like, I don't want to talk about any personal issues anymore. I don't want to talk about this. I just want to talk about what I'm supposed to be doing in my job, like learning and teaching. And she just kind of looked at me, and I was like, thank you, just thank you. Tell me whatever you like. I don't care.
Yeah.
You get in those, you get in those modes that you're so in the management part of it that we get away from the learning and the, I went into the other day I walked downstairs and I said, I have this job where I'm supposed to go into classrooms and I'm supposed to see what the teachers are doing and check what the kids are learning, but I can't do that because I fixed 50 iPads today. It's like, it would be nice to just have one of those days that you could just do, what we wanted, what we got into this job for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Spike, you, sir, are hosting a chat this weekend. Is that correct?
Yeah, the ECET2, that's hashtag ECET2. It is a organization that is, I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's something about like elevating teachers and really celebrating teachers. And I had the opportunity to speak at one of the events that happened in New Jersey. They happen all throughout the country. And so anyway, I'm going to be hosting that with Barry Sade and a couple of the ECET2 folks this Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be talking about isolation in leadership, which is really connected to the book that Teresa and Jessica and myself are currently writing. So just to kind of get out there and put some things out there for reflection. And it's so funny because one of the people who had responded to that when Barry put out, like, this is what we're going to be talking about this week, and it was like, this is exactly the opposite of what we talked about last week. Because so it's funny, they're talking about connections and building connections, and now this week we're going to be talking about the opposite of that. Is, how do you deal with isolation, not only from your peers that you work with, but also online and social media.
Very cool. So
awesome.
Please jump in on that if you're available. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because we've hit our time limit for our We're Back episode.
We might podcast regularly again.
That's right. We're
watching.
We will. We're checking now for a time that will work for all of us every week. So we should have a pretty regular schedule. Be sure to go into iTunes and subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment there, that would be even better. And
I would also say check out Matt Renwick's new podcast, Theory and Practice, which we'll repost one of his podcasts on here because we joined him for that. But that's also a great podcast to listen to.
Yeah, you'll actually probably get that podcast first. Mm-hmm. So either way that they come out in the stream, it'll be on either side of this one. So yeah, be sure to check it out. It's a great resource. He does a lot of work for those. All right, Jess.
All right, Principal Peelan out.
Thanks for sharing in the learning with us today. Remember to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, and continue the conversation by joining the Voxer group. Links can be found at principalpln.com.